Okay, let's dive right into this explainer by exploring a really fascinating paradox. Think about this. Are our highly engineered, heavily cushioned modern running shoes actually causing more injuries than they prevent? Well, for the next few minutes, we're going to unpack the science, the history, and the mechanics of modern primitive running. It's a movement that suggests the absolute best way to move forward might actually just be to look back.
So what is this all about? The core philosophy here is pretty simple. It's all about running with minimal foot protection to mimic how early humans ran. You might know it as barefoot running or natural running, and over the last couple of decades it's gained some serious traction. It's not just some fringe concept anymore. Scientists are actively studying it as a potential solution to the kinds of repetitive stress injuries that plague so many athletes today. The whole idea is to literally strip away our modern tech and just mimic how our ancestors successfully navigated the world.
Here's the evolutionary journey we're taking today. First, we'll look at the barefoot running revival. Then, a history of going unshod. Number 3 is the biomechanics of primitive running. Fourth, we'll weigh the health benefits and injury risks. And finally, we'll cover transitioning safely to minimal gear.
All right, Section 1, the barefoot running revival. Returning to our evolutionary roots. Let's see what this actually looks like out in the real world.
Now, when we say barefoot running, we aren't always talking about literal skin on asphalt. While true barefoot running does mean absolutely no shoes at all, a huge portion of this movement is actually minimalist running. This means using incredibly thin-soled gear. Think of traditional moccasins, or the huaraches worn by the Tarahumara people in northern Mexico. Those are super basic, often literally just a single long lace with a thin sole cut right out of an old recycled tire. They give you just enough protection from cuts, abrasions, and hot pavement, while still letting your foot move exactly as if it were totally bare. Moving right along to Section 2, a history of going unshod, from ancient Greece to the Olympics. Let's look at how this spans literally thousands of years.
This history brilliantly illustrates that barefoot running isn't some passing fad. It's actually our historical default. Historians believe ancient Greek runners ran completely barefoot, including Philippides, the guy who ran the very first marathon back in 490 BC. But skip forward to the modern era and it's just as cool. In 1960, Ethiopian runner Abebe Bikila famously won the Olympic marathon gold in Rome, setting a world record completely barefoot. And get this, it was simply because his supplier's shoes didn't fit him right. Later, athletes like Zola Budd and Tegla LaRoupe dominated global races barefoot in the 80s and 90s. But it was really in 2009 that the whole thing just exploded into the mainstream, all thanks to Christopher McDougall's best-selling book, Born to Run.
Okay, Section 3, the biomechanics of primitive running, understanding the foot's natural mechanics. This is where things get really interesting, looking at the mechanical differences between shod and unshod runners. When you directly compare the two running styles side by side, the structural changes to your gait are massive. Conventional running, which really took off with the jogging boom and modern shoe tech in the 70s, heavily relies on a thick foam heel. Because that shoe absorbs the shock, conventional runners tend to take these longer, overextended strides that cause the heel to strike the ground first. But with modern primitive running, you completely shift your landing to the forefoot or midfoot. Your strides naturally become shorter and quicker, placing your foot directly beneath your body. Instead of relying on foam, your body uses its own built-in shock absorbers, the springing action of your foot's arch, your Achilles tendon, and your calf muscles. So, why does your body magically change its stride the second you kick your shoes off? Well, it all comes down to direct sensory feedback. Because your bare feet feel the ground directly, your nervous system gets real-time, immediate data about the surface you're on. To prepare for the expected impact, your brain actually triggers a higher pre-activation of your plantar flexor muscles before your foot even hits the ground. This natural correction drastically reduces your contact time with the floor, ups your step rate, and crucially, stops you from slamming your heel down. Without shoes, a heel strike would send a painful, heavy impact equivalent to 2 to 3 times your body weight right up your leg. Your body just instinctively knows how to protect itself once that sensory data isn't muffled by thick foam.
Section 4. Health benefits and injury risks. Impartially weighing the scientific consensus. We absolutely have to look at the medical data impartially here.
The scientific community has been incredibly curious about this. Studies have shown that running barefoot or in minimalist gear wakes up musculature that's usually just asleep when we wear standard shoes. This actually increases your intrinsic foot muscle size and strength, which proponents argue decreases the risk of plantar fasciitis and flat feet. But it's not just about the feet.
Research found that conventional running shoes can actually increase stress on your knee joints by up to 38% compared to barefoot running. And if you're looking for sheer efficiency, barefoot runners show significantly better running economy. Because the natural stretch-shortening cycle of your muscles is enhanced, your oxygen consumption is about 4% lower. You are literally saving energy by using your body's natural elasticity.
For a lot of people, these biomechanical tweaks translate to some major real-world relief. A very highly cited University of Virginia survey of over 500 runners who tried barefoot running found that an incredible 69% saw their previous injuries completely go away. We're talking chronic issues in the knees, feet, ankles, hips, and lower back, all resolving after making the switch.
And furthermore, 64% of those same respondents claimed they suffered absolutely zero new injuries after transitioning from shod to barefoot running. So the subjective data from the runners themselves is definitely glowing. However, we have to impartially highlight the risks, right? Because the science isn't totally settled. For example, a 2019 study actually contradicted some of those earlier injury prevention claims, finding that participants habituated to barefoot running exhibited higher vertical loading rates than shod runners. And beyond the physics, the environmental risks are pretty obvious. You've got skin abrasions, thermal injuries from hot pavement, and the risk of getting puncture wounds. There's also a generalized increased risk of localized infections. Medical experts specifically warn that if you have an immunodeficiency, you really shouldn't partake in barefoot running. The infection risks simply outweigh the biomechanical benefits. Plus, if you fail to properly transition from a heel strike to a forefoot strike, you're looking at some severe muscle and tendon strain.
Which brings us to our final part. Section 5, Transitioning Safely to Minimal Gear, Step-by-Step Guidance for Safe Adoption. If you're intrigued by this, please do not just throw your shoes away and go run a 5K tomorrow.
The experts provide a really clear, highly specific roadmap for safe adoption. Step 1, start slow. You have to wake up muscles that have been trapped in stiff shoes for years, so just walk barefoot at home or on soft grass for a few weeks. Step 2, drastically limit your distance. When you do start running, only do about 10% of your usual distance in minimalist shoes at first. Step 3, listen to your pain. Bone and tendon pain is totally different from regular muscle soreness. Stop immediately if you feel sharp pain in your arches or calves. And finally, step 4, proactively strengthen your feet. Do targeted exercises like toe curls and calf raises to build up those underused stabilizing muscles before you demand too much of them out on the road.
Looking at all this evolutionary history and the biomechanical data, it really forces us to reevaluate what we consider normal footwear. So I want to leave you with this question to ponder about your own daily movement. Are those highly engineered, heavily cushioned shoes really helping you run, or are they actually holding your body's natural mechanics back? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and whatever footwear you choose, keep exploring how your incredibly capable body was actually built to move.